did, and you did it because it was the right thing to do. This is a document that can govern our nation, and it's one that we can be proud of, and I've been proud to be a part of it. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the comments of the member of the Budget Committee, Mr. Woodall from Georgia. But I don't think the choice the Republicans make in this budget is the right thing to do. I don't think the American people are going to think it's the right thing to do. I don't think the choice to provide another round of tax cuts for people making more than $1 million a year while ending the Medicare guarantee for seniors who have median income under $23,000 a year is the right choice. I don't think it's the courageous choice. Now, I heard Mr. Woodall say that it doesn't change one thing, not one thing in Medicare. That's just not true. This immediately reopens the prescription drug donut hole. The Republican plan takes some of the savings we achieved on the affordable health care for Medicare, but instead of using it like we did to help strengthen the prescription drug plan, it reopens it. It does it immediately. That is an additional $10,000 over 10 years for seniors who have high prescription drug costs. You know what else it does immediately? It immediately ends the preventative care services we provided under Medicare. So, because we wanted to encourage seniors to get that early care, so we eliminated the copays. Now they got to pay that too, immediately. Now, the gentleman said the President doesn't have a plan on Medicare. I keep having to remind my colleagues that this chart was presented by the Chairman of the Budget Committee, Mr. Ryan. And the black line is the Republican plan, and the blue line is the President's plan. The red line is projected health care costs. And the difference between the two plans is that the Republican plan puts all the risk of those rising health care costs on the seniors. And you can see that when you look at this chart. This is current Medicare. It provides constant support for the health care services received by seniors. That's the blue line. Here's the green line. This is what members of Congress and federal employees get. They get a real premium support. As health care prices go up, their premium support stays constant. This red line, that's what happens when you cap the support for seniors as the Republican plan did. That red line going straight down is the same as that red line going straight up. The difference between the approaches is we say, let's modernize Medicare to put greater focus and incentives on the value of care, not so much on the volume of care, which does drive up costs. The Republican plan puts all those risks of rising health care costs on seniors. And with that, I yield 1 minute to the distinguished Democratic leader, someone who's been fighting for jobs, for fairness, and for protecting the Medicare guarantee, Ms. Pelosi.
Minority Leader is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank the distinguished ranking member of the Budget Committee for yielding. Tell him how proud he makes us all for his important work in constructing a Democratic alternative to the Republican budget. That is Mr. Van Hollen's budget proposal. That is a statement of our national values that says to the American people what is important to you about the education and health and well-being of our children, the economic security of their families, the health security of our seniors. Those are important values to us, and those values are reflected in the Democratic alternative. The Republican Ryan bill, on the other hand, I do not believe is a statement of our national values as to what is important to the American people as reflected in their budget priorities. But you be the judge. Would it be a statement of your values if you had a budget that said to seniors, we're going to end the Medicare guarantee and you're going to pay $6,000 or more while you get less in terms of benefits, while at the same time we're going to give an over $300 billion tax break to the wealthiest people in our country? Would that be a statement of your values? $6,000 more for seniors with fewer benefits, $300,000 or more to the richest people in our country. Would it be a statement of values for you, my colleagues and the American people you represent, if you had a budget that said to big oil, we're going to continue to subsidize you to the tune of tens of billions of dollars, but at the same time, we're going to freeze Pell Grants. We're going to eliminate them for 400,000 young people and make them less available to over 9 million young people. To lower the benefit for some, to eliminate it for others, and use the money to give tax subsidies to big oil which is making tens of billions of dollars in record profits each year. Would it be a statement of your values if you said in your budget that all of those young people who now, children, who have a pre-existing medical condition, asthma, diabetes, a birth defect, any of those pre-existing medical conditions, under present law, under the Affordable Care Act, they may not be discriminated against in obtaining health insurance. But the Republican budget says they should be, because we're going to eliminate that. To the 2.5 million young people who are now on their parents' policies until they're 26 years old, this budget says no to you too. We're eliminating that. We're too busy giving tax breaks to the richest people in America. And while we're at it with young people just graduating from college, some of them may have student loans. And in the House budget, thank you, Mr. Van Hollen, in the House budget, we have a provision that says that come July 1st, the interest on those loans will not double. We have taken care of that. Under the circumstance, the path we're on, the interest rates would go from 3.4% to 6.8%. The House Democratic budget says no to that doubling of interest. The Republican budget keeps it the same. That's just to name a few things that I think may not be a statement of the values of the American people. Whether it's interest paid on student loans, the availability of Pell Grants to young people, ending the Medicare guarantee, and as the distinguished ranking member said, right now, today, overturning the money that was, the resources that were put in the Affordable Care Act to reduce, to narrow the donut hole. Maybe 5 million seniors have benefited to the tune of $3.2 billion already in the bill. Also, their preventative care, preventative services, their annual wellness visit without a copay. So we're talking about kitchen table items for people where people are trying to make ends meet, where people wonder about if their children will be able to go to college, and if they do, will they be able to have health insurance so then they look for a job, they can reach their aspirations without having their choices only narrowed by whether they have health insurance or not until the bill comes into full effect. So if there are just a couple things that I would want people to know about this bill, they are: ends the Medicare guarantee, ends the Medicare guarantee, ends the Medicare guarantee while making seniors pay more for less, while giving over $300 billion in tax breaks to the wealthiest people in our country. And by the way, did I mention it? It's a job loser. So I urge my colleagues to enthusiastically support the House Democratic proposal, which is a statement of our values and which our distinguished colleague will present I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow morning. I understand that it keeps changing. The House Democratic alternative invests in America's priorities, creates jobs, protects our seniors and our students, strengthens the middle class. Democrats protect Medicare, Republicans dismantle Medicare. The Democratic plan asks the wealthiest to pay their fair share and to put our fiscal house in order. The Republican plan gives them more than the tax breaks they've had. They almost double their tax breaks. Our Democratic plan reflects the most enduring theme in America, the American dream. Democrats want to reignite the American dream, to build ladders of opportunity for all who want to work hard, play by the rules, and take responsibility. It does this by investing in small businesses and entrepreneurialism of our country, by strengthening the middle class. And in that regard, we believe that our budget is a statement of our values. We call upon our Republican colleagues to work with us on a budget that reflects values. We must work together to protect and strengthen Medicare. We must put people back to work and build a broadly shaped prosperity for all Americans. We must make it in America to stop the erosion of our manufacturing base. We must rebuild America, putting people back to work. We must do this with community involvement. And all of these things strengthen the middle class, which is exactly what our Democratic alternative achieved. For the sake of our seniors, for our families, for our children, for our workers, I urge my colleagues to vote no on the Republican plan, which ends the Medicare guarantee, makes seniors pay $6,000 or more for fewer benefits, while it gives $300,000 in tax breaks to the wealthiest people in the United States, and it costs us jobs to do so. Doesn't reduce the deficit to nearly 2040. It's not a good deal for the American people. The Democratic budget is, I urge a yes on the Van Hollen budget, a no on the Ryan Republican budget, and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlelady from California yields back. The gentleman from Wisconsin.
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield myself 1 minute to simply say, yesterday they said we're cutting taxes on the millionaires by $150,000. Today, it's $300,000. It's probably going to be $1 million tomorrow. What I would simply say is this line that says we're ending the Medicare guarantee, let me remind you, Chairman, that this was rated the lie of the year by the nonpartisan political fact of 2011. We don't want a rationing board running Medicare. We want seniors in charge of Medicare. We don't want to take more from successful small businesses that create our jobs and make them uncompetitive in the global economy. We want to take special interest loopholes out of the tax code to lower everybody's tax rates, but especially those small businesses that create our job. And more importantly, we want to balance the budget, pay off the debt. Ours is the only budget that does that. The so-called balanced approach by our friends on the other side of the aisle doesn't even pretend to get the debt paid off, let alone under control. With that, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Tennessee, Dr. Rowe.
The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
Thank the Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, when President Obama released his nearly $4 trillion budget proposal in February, he called for more spending, more borrowing, and more taxes. Despite a national debt that's grown to more than $15.5 trillion, the President elected to double down on the same old failed agenda. The Senate's failed to pass a budget in more than 1,000 days. The iPad wasn't on the market when they had a budget the last time in the Senate. And while House Republicans are actively working to address the economic crisis facing our country, Americans deserve better than empty promises from a broken government, and the Path to Prosperity budget offers a tangible way forward. This budget cuts spending in a meaningful way, lowers tax rates while simplifying the tax code, and strengthens the social safety net. I asked the Senate and House Democrats, what's your plan? There is no greater contrast between the President's budget and our Republican budget than on Medicare, something I know something about, having practiced medicine for 30 years. The President and congressional Democrats cut $500+ billion from Medicare to fund a new entitlement, and then their cost controls were a 15-member board, a bureaucratic board, basically a denial of care board. No one argues that Medicare goes bankrupt in the near future, so doing nothing is not an option. Republicans propose to strengthen Medicare for current seniors by making no changes for those 55 and older and giving future retirees the ability to choose their own health plan. What a novel idea that is, including a traditional Medicare choice, the same thing they have today. By implementing these common-sense reforms, we can ensure Medicare will be available to current and future generations. I am very proud of my colleagues on the House Budget Committee who have worked tirelessly to draft a blueprint that sets our nation on a path to balancing the budget and paying off the debt. This proposal protects the country, saves Medicare, and puts America on a path to prosperity. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would point out that the chairman of the Budget Committee has mentioned a number of times this political fact, and I want to read from what political fact said with respect to this. He said that it's true that the term terminate Medicare, which some had used, was an overstatement, no doubt about it. Just like apparently in a couple years ago they said what I've heard from a lot of my colleagues, that the Affordable Care Act, quote, was government takeover health care. I've heard that a lot from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. That was the big political fact, so-called lie of the year, a couple years ago. So let's just be clear. But this is the important part. It says if Democrats had just slightly tweaked their statements, they would be accurate. And they go out on to point out that, for example, when people said the plan last year would privatize Medicare, that was true, and that when the President Obama was also more precise with his words, saying that the Medicare proposal, quote, would voucherize the program and you potentially have senior citizens paying $6,000 more, unquote. They didn't say that was false. What we have said, what I have said very carefully all along, is that it ends the Medicare guarantee, and I firmly believe it ends the Medicare guarantee for this reason. For this reason right here. This is the current Medicare plan support for seniors in terms of the percent that they have to pay, that blue line, steady support. Green line demonstrates steady support that members of Congress get from the Federal Employees Health Benefit Plan. Red line is what happens when you put seniors into the private health care market, but you don't allow their premium support to rise with the projected rise in health care costs. Red line down. I think that does end the Medicare guarantee. With that, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Andrews.
Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 2 minutes. Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's been an understanding in our country for a very long time that if you work as hard as you can your whole life and you follow the rules, that one of the things that you'll get as part of this American dream is a secure retirement, that you ought to be able to spend the years after you work loving your grandchildren, pursuing your hobbies, doing the things in life that you love and enjoy. Essential to that part of the American dream is the Medicare guarantee. Because here's what it really says. If you get sick and you need help, you get the help that you need as determined by you and your doctor and your family. And you pay your fair share in premiums and co-pays, but there's no insurance bureaucracy to run through. There's no approval you've got to get. If your cardiologist says you need a certain procedure and you think that you want to do it, you do it. And Medicare pays the bill. This is a guarantee, and the reason it's needed is that you can't make a whole lot of profit off of insuring older and sicker people. So since 1965, this Medicare guarantee has been a part of the promise that we've made to American seniors. This budget violates that promise. Because what it says is a substantial number of people, beginning with those under 55, will not be in Medicare. They'll be in a system run by the insurance companies of this country, and the decision will shift from people and their doctors to insurance companies. Now, the other side will say, well, it's going to be voluntary. Well, here's what in all likelihood is going to happen. The wealthier, healthier people will sign up for the voluntary system, and the poorer, older, sicker people will stay in regular Medicare. The resources will diminish, the care will dwindle, and Medicare will wither and die on the vine. Now, this is a legitimate philosophical. I would ask for 30 more seconds.
The gentleman, another 30 seconds.
I thank you.
Recognized for another 30 seconds.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. This obviously is a good faith and legitimate philosophical difference. But when it comes to the termination of the Medicare guarantee, when it comes to jeopardizing and violating this covenant with the people who built this country, we think that's the wrong thing to do. And it's especially wrong when the savings, so-called savings from this approach, will finance yet another tax break for the wealthiest and most prosperous people in our country. These are priorities we'll debate on this floor in good faith. We think they're the wrong priorities. We urge a no vote.
Gentleman from Wisconsin.
Mr. Chairman, let me just yield myself 2 minutes to say, you know what ends the Medicare guarantee? The Medicare status quo. We had the chief actuary of Medicare in the other day. He said it is $37 trillion in the hole. That's the unfunded liability for Medicare. Look at the driver of our debt. Medicare is growing at such a rate that it goes into bankruptcy. The Part A trust fund goes bankrupt in 2021, according to CBO. Now, what does the President's law, the current law, in law, do? It says we need to slow the growth of Medicare spending by putting a cap over Medicare. That's in law today. And then it says in order to enforce this cap, we're going to have 15 political appointees that the President will appoint for 6-year terms. They make the decisions. They decide what health care providers can do or cannot do, what they get paid. The Medicare chief actuary came and told us the other day they'll start off by paying Medicare providers 80 cents on the dollar to provide Medicare benefits and then go down to 30 cents on the dollar. You think your doctor's going to do what you need if he gets paid 30 cents on the dollar? He said that 40% of Medicare providers are either going to go out of business or just stop taking Medicare patients altogether. That's the current law. That ends the guarantee. Here's what we say. Get rid of the rationing board. Stop the bureaucrats from getting between the doctor and her patient. And don't change Medicare for people 55 and above so that you can keep the promise the government's made to them. But for those younger generations, because the program is going bankrupt, you must reform it in order to keep the promise to current seniors. And the way we keep the Medicare guarantee, and I yield myself another minute to say this, is to say this. You get a list of guaranteed coverage options from Medicare. And among those choices are comprehensive private plans and the traditional Medicare option. And Medicare will subsidize your premiums. Those subsidies go up every year. If you're low income, all of your out-of-pocket costs are covered. As you get sick, more and more coverage to prevent you from having sticker shock. And if you're wealthy, yes, more will be paid out of pocket because we think you can afford it. That saves Medicare. That makes it solvent. And the competitive bidding that is done to make those providers compete against each other for our business using choice and competition is what the Medicare actuary tells us is the best way to preserve and save the Medicare guarantee. You see, premium support with competitive bidding ensures guaranteed affordability. This is an idea that has had bipartisan support going back to the 90s. Yet our friends on the other side of the aisle would rather have politics than to really work to save the Medicare guarantee. And with that, I yield 3 minutes to the doctor from Georgia, Dr. Gingrich.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I thank the Chairman of the Budget Committee for yielding to me. You know, we've heard our Democratic friends talk about IPAB, of which Chairman Ryan was just discussing, is nothing, these 15 bureaucrats, is nothing but a backstop there to cut lower Medicare spending. In baseball parlance, Mr. Chairman, backstop is sometimes synonymous with the catcher. a catcher who literally will throw every senior out at second base. You know, I like my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Mr. Van Hollen, my classmate, Mr. Andrews, who just spoke, but we're a country of laws and not of men, and I don't like anything about their budget. Our budget incorporates the Ryan-Wyden plan to save Medicare from bankruptcy and health care rationing. Therefore, it's with deep concern for seniors that I have listened to my Democratic colleagues suggest that the bipartisan Ryan-Wyden plan will end Medicare as we know it. Mr. Chairman, I cannot stress this point enough. Medicare, as the Chairman just said, Medicare will be bankrupt as early as 2016 because Obamacare already ended Medicare as we know it. It stole $575 billion from Medicare in order to pay for Obamacare. I offered a simple amendment during Obamacare that said any Medicare saving must go back into Medicare to save Medicare. Who could disagree with that? Well, the Democrats in the House did. Twice they defeated my amendment. Republican efforts to save Medicare from bankruptcy were thwarted by House Democrats because President Obama needed a piggy bank to pay for Obamacare. And today, we have a bipartisan plan to save Medicare created by House Republicans and Senate Democrats who put partisanship aside because our seniors need us to save Medicare from bankruptcy and save them from Obamacare. If the Democrats vote against this plan to save Medicare, will they put forward their own plan to save Medicare? They're going to have an opportunity, indeed, even to vote for the Obama budget recommendation as well as their own. Mr. Chairman, we've heard a great deal of rhetoric from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, yet the silence on my question today has been deafening because they don't have a plan. And I hope they will stand up now and prove me wrong by telling me what is their plan. Mr. Chairman, not only does this budget responsibly reform and save Medicare, this budget also charts the path to fiscal discipline that is long overdue in this city. H-Con Res 112 lowers spending by $1.1 trillion below even what the House passed last year. This budget proposes $5.3 trillion below what President Obama proposed in his own budget. Mr. Chairman, if I could have an additional 30 seconds. Thank you.
Additional 30 seconds.
Furthermore, Mr. Chairman, this budget makes broad tax reforms that will prevent a $2 trillion tax increase from taking effect January 1, 2013, will spur economic growth by lowering taxes for individuals and job creators, and it proposes a 25% corporate tax rate to promote domestic economic growth. Mr. Chairman, it's time that we think of the next generation and not the next election. This path to prosperity charts a responsible course for the fiscal health of our country, and I urge all of my colleagues support H-Con Res 112. And I yield back, and I thank the gentleman for the time.
The gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I keep hearing my Republican colleagues say that their plan will provide seniors with an affordable premium for their health care service. I just keep asking myself why it is that their plan gives seniors on Medicare a much worse deal and a lot less support than the plan members of Congress have under the Federal Employees Health Benefit Plan. That is a real premium support plan. That is a plan where the premiums support keeps pace with rising health care costs. And so if you're talking about how to deal with Medicare, it seems to me we should take the approach that we have taken, that the President has taken, where you modernize the system, you change the incentives to put focus on the value of care, on the quality of care, rather than the quantity of care. We're already starting up accountable care organizations. We're already starting up different methods of delivering care in different payment systems. That's a very different approach than putting the burden on seniors and putting the risk on seniors. And with that, I yield 2 minutes to the gentlelady who represents the nation's capital so well, Representative Eleanor Horton.
Recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, but I especially thank Mr. Van Hollen for his brilliant and balanced work on the budget. You know, Shakespeare's sonnet says, "Let me count the ways." I am finding it difficult to count the reasons to oppose the Republicans' unbalanced, no-growth budget that threatens to send us back into a recession. But when the tightest fist in the federal government, the OMB, says that the Republican budget would, and here I'm quoting, make it extraordinarily difficult for the federal government to do its basic business, I listen. The federal government, Mr. Chairman, is labor-intensive. When the OMB says that there will be 4,500 fewer federal agents on the border working the criminal cases and performing national security, I listen. When the OMB says we won't meet basic standards for food safety, I am listening. We simply cannot keep freezing pay for federal employees, which amount to deep cuts, and replacing every three with only one, and expect to continue protecting the American people at the same time. This budget kicks federal employees while they are down and kicks their vital work right with them. It guarantees the growth of the unaccountable contractor sector, which remains untouched in the Republican budget. So much for the phantom savings at the expense of federal employees. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Wisconsin.
I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for yielding 3 minutes to talk about such an important subject as the health care of our seniors. You know, the other side of the aisle wants to play pretend. Let's pretend that we have a program sustainable for all future generations. Let's pretend that all our seniors right now have access to all the medical care and physicians that they want. Let's pretend that the Medicare program that the President's health care reform bill establishes for our seniors allows seniors and their doctors to choose what care is best for them. But, Mr. Chairman, we'd have to be playing pretend, because, in fact, we know that the program is not sustainable for all generations. This graph here is not from the Republican conference. This is from the Congressional Budget Office. This is what happens. The red, it's no accident that's in red. This is what happens to Medicare spending under the President's proposals. We're right here in the middle. This is when my children reach their middle age. This is when they retire. This is when my grandchildren reach their retirement. It's not sustainable. Anyone looking at that graph knows it's not sustainable. We can't play pretend. We'd have to play pretend that all seniors have access to physicians. Go into my district in rural areas where seniors tell you they don't have access to primary care already because the Medicare program currently squeezes the payments to providers to where providers no longer choose to take on as many Medicare patients as they can. And the President's plan makes it even worse. And finally, we'd be pretending that patients get to choose and their physicians get to choose their care, because under the President's plan, there are 15 unelected bureaucrats who decide, that President's rationing board, who decide what care my mother now will get, what care I'm going to get in 10 years, what care my son is going to get in 39 years when he reaches retirement age. 15 unelected bureaucrats, Mr. Chairman, by law. Only a minority of that board can actually have ever practiced health care. The majority are bureaucrats, never having taken care of a patient. That's the plan that we have now. Mr. Chairman, it will break if we don't take care of it. I applaud the chairman of the Budget Committee for the bravery, and Mr. Chairman, you know what the ads are going to be. You can see it now. You can hear all the talking points. America knows health care in America needs repair. They know the Medicare program needs repair if we're going to preserve it for future generations. I urge my colleagues to choose this as the repair for our future generations, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Expired. The gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My colleague, the gentleman from Maryland, put up a chart with the red showing the rising costs of Medicare and said, the President has no plan. Well, I wish the gentleman had looked at the chart of the chairman of the Budget Committee. We've seen it a couple times today that shows the black line being the House Republican trajectory, the blue line being the President's plan to contain costs, the difference again being that the Republican proposal puts all the risk of rising health care costs onto seniors, whereas the President's plan talks about changing the delivery system in a way to encourage the value of care, focus on the value of care rather than the volume of care. I would only point out, we keep hearing about this, the IPAB. The reality is that anything that they would propose, number one, by law cannot ration care. We keep hearing ration. But number two, is subject to review and a vote by members of Congress, the people in this body. With that, I would yield 2 minutes to the ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Levin.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes. Without objection.
I've been listening to this debate, and you know Republicans claim that their saving Medicare is political mythology. Political mythology. Essentially, what they're doing is shifting coverage to the private sector. They have a cap more stringent than that in the Affordable Care Act. So over time, more and more, there is the erosion and the end of Medicare. I want to say just a few words about the tax provisions in the Republican budget. You know, on Sunday, this is what was said. I quote, "I don't know," end of quote. That's what the Republican budget chairman said on Sunday when asked whether the middle class would suffer under his tax proposal. It's important for the American public to know the facts. The Republican budget would cut taxes for the very wealthy. The top tax rate would be reduced by such a significant extent that the average millionaire would receive $265,000 in tax cuts, according to the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center. And to pay for this tax cut, Republicans would have to put on the chopping block provisions in the tax code relating to health, education, home mortgage interest, and pensions. Mr. Ryan, you call these loopholes. No, these are policies. And for example, 4/5 of the benefit of the health care exclusion goes to households earning less than $200,000. Half goes to those earning less than $100,000. 70% of the benefit provided through the mortgage interest deduction goes to families who earn less than $200,000. And yet the provisions that in fact disproportionately benefit the wealthy, including, I ask for an additional 30 seconds. Additional 30 seconds?
The gentleman, additional 30 seconds.
The gentleman has another 30 seconds.
That those provisions, including the reduction for capital gains and dividends, the Republicans would protect from any changes, and those are the provisions that in fact disproportionately benefit the wealthy. The Republican priorities could not be clearer when it comes to Medicare, end it, and as to their tax provisions, help the very wealthy. I yield back.
The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
This time I'd like to use 5 minutes to a senior member of the Budget Committee, also a member of the Ways and Means Committee, Dr. Price from Georgia.
The gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend Mr. Ryan for standing up for the future of our country and for his dedication to fundamental American principles. Mr. Chairman, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Michael Mullen, said last year that the greatest threat to our national security, was our debt. Now, there are clear differences. You've heard them here today. There are clear differences about how we should address that debt, and Americans have a choice to make. And it's a choice that will determine the future of our great country. By ignoring the drivers of our debt, by ignoring Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, the President's most recent budget proposal ensures a future of ever-increasing debt and doubt and decline. In fact, before the Budget Committee, Mr. Chairman, we had earlier this spring the Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, who admitted that of the administration that they, quote, don't have a definitive solution to our long-term problem. What we do know is that we don't like yours, unquote. Now there's real leadership. The President's health care law, the current law of the land, cuts Medicare by more than $500 billion for more government programs. The President's health care law ends the Medicare guarantee, puts us on this red path over here, Mr. Chairman, increasing the amount of debt that gives the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff the pause to say that the greatest threat is our debt. The President's health care law empowers the Independent Payment Advisory Board to effectively deny care to seniors. You've heard about it. 15 unelected bureaucrats. None of them can be actively practicing physicians. As a physician, I can tell you that gives me great pause. You heard the gentleman from New Jersey down here saying that their program, if a doctor says that you need cardiac surgery, you get it. Well, on the contrary, Mr. Chairman. In fact, if the doctor says you need cardiac surgery and the board of unelected bureaucrats says you don't get it, guess what? You don't get it. And then my friend from Maryland says, oh, no, you can bring it to the floor of the House. You can bring it to Congress. You could have a review and vote on the floor of the House for your cardiac surgery. Hardly, Mr. Chairman. It just isn't going to happen. The fact of the matter is this unelected board is charged with finding $500 billion in reductions in payments to Medicare physicians, and consequently what will happen is essentially denying care to seniors. As a physician, I believe that the President's health care law threatens all of the principles that we hold dear: accessibility, affordability, quality, responsiveness, innovation, choices. Every single principle of health care is violated by the health care law, the President's health care law. Destroys the doctor-patient relationship. But it's not just devastating to the future of our health, it's also devastating to the future of our economy, which is, again, what drives the chart. Where's the middle class, Mr. Chairman, on this chart? In the red. Where are the American dreams of our kids and grandkids? In the red. So we are committed to a full repeal of the President's health care law, and today we advance bipartisan solutions to improve and to strengthen Medicare. Where the President and Democrats fail to act here in Washington, we will lead. Our plan has no changes for those in or near retirement, allows choices, including the Medicare option, so that patients control their health decisions, not bureaucrats. When bureaucrats choose, patients lose. In the future, Americans, through a guaranteed system, read the bill, Mr. Chairman, a guaranteed system will be able to select the health coverage that's right for them, not that Washington says they must have. Our solution is guaranteed, it's voluntary, and it's bipartisan, something our friends on the other side of the aisle simply cannot say. Our plan also includes common sense tax reform, closing loopholes, lowering rates, broadening the base, helping job creators, a system that's more fair and more simple and allows us to compete in the world, because a vibrant and robust growing economy is necessary to get us back on the right track. And the right track is the green path here, Mr. Chairman, that gets us to a balanced budget and paying off our debt. Now, we know that the Senate won't adopt our budget. Remember, they haven't done one in over 3 years. So the solution to the Senate and the presidential gridlock is with the American people. It's the people of this great country who will decide the direction that we take, not Washington. It's the people who will decide. We offer a positive budget, a positive plan for both our health care and our economy. It's a path to prosperity, and I urge my colleagues to support it. And I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just urge my friend Mr. Price again to look at the chart presented by the chairman of the Budget Committee, Mr. Ryan, that again makes it clear that we have different paths different approaches with respect to containing costs, but at the end of the day, the trajectories are the same. And I say again that if the Republicans think the notion of the premium support plan, the voucher plan, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't rise with health care costs is such a good deal for seniors, why are they giving themselves a different deal in the health care plan for members of Congress? I now yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Langevin.
The gentleman is recognized for 1.5 minutes. Without objection.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, we all recognize that we are facing difficult fiscal challenges and we absolutely have to get our fiscal house in order. And obviously that means that we have to make smart budgetary decisions and invest our dollars wisely in those things that will yield the greatest benefit. However, it doesn't mean that we just cut for the sake of cutting. I rise today in opposition to the Republican budget, which eliminates Medicare guarantee as we know it, particularly it eliminates Medicare guarantee for my constituents in Rhode Island, our seniors, and it cuts programs that keep my constituents' homes heated, helps families afford college, and ensures proper access to health care. I rise in opposition to slashing infrastructure spending that literally prevents our bridges from falling down, as well as gutting investments in education, medical research, and emerging technologies that provide key areas for job creation. Finally, I rise with the strongest opposition to cutting these vital programs and economic investments, while at the same time maintaining tax breaks for millionaires, big oil, and Wall Street. Mr. Speaker, our budget reflects our values and our priorities, and the Republican budget prioritizes the wealthiest Americans at the expense of everyone else. I urge my colleagues to reject this measure and support the Democratic alternative that keeps our promises to our seniors, preserves our social safety net, invests in education for our children, invests in creating a 21st century infrastructure for a 21st century economy, and asks all Americans to pay their fair share toward reducing our deficit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
We just have one more speaker, then reserve the right to close, and I understand the gentleman has a number of other speakers, so would you like to continue with his speakers?
The gentleman reserves his time. The gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now I yield 1.5 minutes to the gentlelady from California, Ms. Lee.
The gentlelady is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank the gentleman for yielding and for your tremendous leadership. I rise in very strong opposition to the Republican budget, which really is a path to more prosperity for the 1%. Once again, the Republicans are proposing a budget that pays for tax cuts for the very wealthy at the expense of senior citizens and the most vulnerable Americans. At a time when America faces the greatest, mind you, the greatest income inequality since the Great Depression, this Republican budget would continue the largest wealth transfer in history to the top 1%. It would recklessly deny support services to the poor and the hungry, end the Medicare guarantee, and destroy American jobs while preserving tax breaks for millionaires, special interests, and big oil. That's not all. While the Republican budget crushes, mind you, it does crush the American dream for those striving to become part of the middle class. Of course, that's the poor and the working poor. It would increase spending for an already bloated Pentagon budget and continue the war in Afghanistan at a time when 7 out of 10 Americans believe the war should come to an end. We cannot do this to America's struggling families and our seniors or low-income individuals. I urge all members to reject this Republican budget and instead support the budget proposals put forth by Congressman Van Hollen and the Democrats, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and the Congressional Black Caucus. A budget is a moral document that shows fulfills our nation's priorities and our values. How can we allow this Medicare guarantee that our seniors have contributed to? May I have 30 seconds?
I yield 30 seconds.
Thank you again for yielding.
The gentlelady has 30 additional seconds.
How can we allow this Medicare guarantee that our seniors have contributed to throughout their life to be turned into a privatized voucher plan? Where is our sense of morality allowing our seniors to really begin to fall through the cracks? That is just wrong. We need a budget that puts Americans back to work, invests in our future, protects the safety net, including Medicare, and works to reignite the American dream for all and not crush it for the wealthiest, but for the wealthiest 1%. Thanks.
The gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Before my close?
Yeah, however you want. I'm happy to yield at this point in time.
Okay.
The gentleman from Wisconsin reserves his time. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to yield 2 minutes to the ranking member of the Education Committee, Mr. Miller.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. And just like last year, some members of Congress and the Beltway talking heads are declaring that the Republican budget is bold and courageous. But just like last year, Republican budget, this budget proposal is neither bold nor is it courageous. It's not bold to balance your budget on the backs of working families, low-income families, and children of this nation. This budget, in fact, the Republican budget, mortgages an entire generation of children's education and young people's education. It mortgages their educational opportunity by making cuts at the very earliest of early childhood education, at the elementary level of education, the secondary level of education, and it's going to allow the doubling of interest rates on student loans that families have taken out to provide for the higher education that these young people need to get jobs in this economy, to get the skills that they need to be able to go to work in this economy, and yet that's going to be slashed with their cuts, with their increased costs to those individuals. It also sacrifices the health care benefits of a generation of these same people, because under their proposal, they envision the Affordable Health Care Act somehow going away, that they can repeal it, they can get rid of it. And that means that young people will not be able to stay on their families' policies as they finish their education or they seek out their first job, their first beginning of a career. And it also ends the Medicare guarantee. It follows the path that George Bush followed when he wanted to privatize it, and then in last year's budget, when they sought to end the guarantee, they're back again to end that guarantee to our senior citizens. It's not bold, it's just plain wrong. The Affordable Care Act, in fact, strengthened Medicare. It made it more sustainable for seniors and sustainable for the taxpayers. It extended the Medicare Trust Fund. But that's not what the Republican budget's about. It's about extending the deficits out to sometime in 2014, but at the same time not looking at the impact of military spending or a continuation of the war as they accept in their budget in Afghanistan. And what it says is, therefore, we will shift the entire cuts to the young, to the old, to middle-class families, and that cannot be allowed. The Republican budget must be rejected by this House.
The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, at that, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Goodlatte.
The gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the chairman for yielding and for his good work on this budget, and ask unanimous consent to revising semi-remarks.
Without objection.
Thomas Jefferson once wrote, "To preserve the independence of the people, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our election between economy and liberty, or profusion and servitude." In this choice of two futures, unfortunately, Congress has all too often chosen the latter path of out-of-control spending and expansion of government power. There is a spending addiction in Washington, D.C., and it has proven to be an addiction that Congress has not controlled on its own. The nation has gone in a few short years from a federal deficit of billions of dollars to a deficit of trillions of dollars. The government is printing money at an unprecedented pace, which presents significant risks of inflation. Our debt is currently an unfathomable $15.5 trillion and mounting rapidly. as is the waste associated with paying the interest on that debt. Yet Congress has done little to address this crisis. Families all across our nation understand what it means to make tough decisions each day about what they can and cannot afford. Yet far too often this fundamental principle has been lost on a Congress that is too busy spending to pay attention to the bottom line. If Americans must exercise restraint with their own funds, then government officials must be required to exercise an even higher standard when spending other people's hard-earned money. Well, I believe that the House budget we are considering today is a good budget, and I support it. It is dependent on fiscally minded Congresses being elected for the next 28 years who will be committed to upholding this budget, as well as a president who will sign fiscally responsible appropriations measures into law. That is why I am also a supporter of the Republican Study Committee budget. While this RSC budget is bold and some say drastic, these measures are needed to solve our nation's fiscal crisis. Mr. Chairman, unless each Congress, regardless of party affiliation, is forced to make the decisions necessary to actually set a budget, unlike the U.S. Senate, and create a balanced budget, the temptation will always be there for Congress to spend more than it receives in revenues, and that is an advantage of a constitutional balanced budget amendment. I support this budget. I support the Republican Study Committee budget. I support fiscal responsibility and yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now yield 1.5 minutes to a gentleman who's been focused on fiscal responsibility, Mr. Welch of Vermont.
I thank the
gentleman from Vermont is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The budget challenge we face requires two things. First, requires the confidence to invest in the future and rebuild the middle class. Second, it requires the discipline to bring down our debt with a plan that recognizes what is obvious to all Americans, that any plan with any prospect of success must include spending cuts and revenues. This budget instead makes things worse and delivers a body blow to the middle class. It doubles down on tax cuts, adding $150,000 in cuts to the wealthiest Americans. It increases Pentagon spending, fencing it off from it being required to make any contribution to reducing our debt. In that body blow to the middle class, it's delivered by cutting Pell Grants, kicking kids off of work-study, by taking away things that the middle class needs, a functional Food and Drug Administration, FAA, cuts in national science. It is really bad for the middle class. Americans know that a budget is much more than line items on a spreadsheet. It's about who we are and what we aspire to be. And the question is this. This budget believes in austerity. It leads to prosperity. No evidence for that. This budget believes that tax cuts for the wealthy will create jobs. No evidence for that. Our budget, we believe something very simple. We're all better off when we're all better off. And that requires a budget that reflects what has always made America great, investment in a middle class that's strong and that's enduring. Our hope in passing any budget has to be that that middle class will be strengthened and that parents will have some confidence that their kids will be better off than they were. Thank you. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
I'm going to let that
Sure. Thanks, Peter.
On the last speaker, I reserve the right to close, so I'll let the gentleman from Maryland
Thank you.
use up all his time.
The gentleman from Wisconsin
Chairman,
reserves his time. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now yield 2 minutes to the distinguished Vice Chairman of the Democratic Caucus, Mr. Becerra.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, I stand in strong opposition to the Republican budget that we are considering here today. How easy it is for some to forget that when President Bush took office, we had surpluses as far as the eye could see, and when President Bush left office, we were left with a deep pool of red ink. My friends on the other side of the aisle talk about the urgency of reducing our deficits, but where were my deficit-concerned colleagues when Congress passed tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans, adding trillions to the deficit? Where were my deficit-concerned colleagues when President Bush took us into 2 wars without paying for either? I find it hard to believe that after voting time and again to add trillions to the deficit, that the only solution they offer to create economic growth in this country is to end Medicare and to hand out more tax cuts to the wealthiest among us. The Republican vision in this budget doesn't reflect the America that I grew up in. And their vision of an America that can't, is not the country that I want my children to inherit. Budgets are about choices, and this Republican budget chooses millionaires over seniors and oil subsidies over college dreams for our middle class. The same Republican budget that replaces the Medicare guarantee and gives us coupon care, that immediately and dramatically increases seniors' health care costs, and that cuts college aid for over 9 million students and slashes investments in our K-12 schools, turns around and showers hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax cuts on millionaires and billionaires. You can't make this stuff up. What's most astonishing to me about this budget is the absence of any talk about real Americans, those fighting to hold on to their jobs and their homes. America has always been the land of opportunity, where those who work hard and play by the rules have a chance to succeed and to achieve the American dream. Instead of turning America into a can't-do country where you begin by dismantling Medicare and Medicaid and dismantling our programs to help our children trying to go to college, and all those institutions that we rely on at the Institute of Health and all those that do all the science research for us, we should recognize that this is still a great country. We need to come together in this debate with the conviction that America's best days are yet to come. I urge my colleagues to vote against this can't-do Republican budget and for the Democratic alternative. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized. The gentleman from Wisconsin reserves his time. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.